Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started.
In Walmart's Hoonuville, everyone ready their cart. Amazing Black Friday deals are about to start. Online and in the app, such great deals to explore. Everything you love from tech, toys, and more. The days to save and the ones to remember. It's only the 25th to the 30th of November. Set your alarms. Don't miss out. These deals are epic, without a doubt. The Who's are all ready, but are you? Walmart Black Friday deals await. Who knew?
No one should have to choose between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Purina is helping to create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters through the Purple Leash Project, so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
Okay, Arnold. We're live in 3, 2, 1, go.
I want to thank you for having me on the podcast to share my story about reinvention. I know this one is about reinvention, so I'm happy to share some details about my life. As you know, I've reinvented myself numerous times in the career. At first as a world-renowned bodybuilder, to tile worker, to real estate developer and owner and businessman, and of course, world-dominating action hero Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movies, and then even into being the governor and beyond. And now I dabble in podcasts and writing and so on and things of this nature.
You're probably gonna laugh, but it wasn't recording. You mind doing that again, Arnold?
Ah, son of a bitch!
Sucker.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Coming to you live from another treatment here. This is kind of the flip side of the repost that I did last week. Sorry for the repost, but have definitely still been struggling intensely here, and thought I would put something out that was a little bit positive and practical, even that we can do to kind of weather the storm that we might be dealing with. But today is a little bit of the flip side of that. And I wanted to come to you from a place of anger. I kind of don't typically come to you from a place of anger, but a lot of times this is a symptom of something that I have dealt with in my life, where I stuff things down, or I don't share things, or I allow things to happen to me, or I allow people to manipulate me or take advantage of me or be a narcissist. And that has happened many times. And I'm sure this has happened to you many times in your own life. And you might be saying, well, what does this have to do with my art, Preston? This is an art podcast after all. And what I'm going to talk to you today about is kind of reclaiming your power and reinventing yourself when you need to. Being able to be smart enough to see when you need to pivot and reinvent yourself. And this doesn't have to be a major reinvention. Like, for example, you need to move to the other side of the world and grow a beard and wear a top hat. You can do that if you want, but that's not what this means. What this means is finding places in your art and in your life where things are maybe not going the direction you want to be going in, and maybe there's some stagnation, or worse, maybe there's some intense blockage or manipulation, like, for example, what I'm talking about in my life, complete gaslighting or inability for people to be there for you. Reinvention is a wonderful thing. I've been watching a lot of Well, let me back up first of all. You might hear a noise in the background. I'm doing a red light therapy session. I'm doing methylene blue and nano silver and antimicrobials in my eyes because this disease, this late stage neurological Lyme disease, is not only taking over my brain, but it is in my eyes and it's taking over my eyesight. So sometimes I can't see very well. Sometimes I can't see at all. Sometimes I get these weird kaleidoscope eye symptoms, which you can look up if you don't believe me. And yeah, so I'm taking some drastic measures and doing some of this methylene blue and activating it with red light in front of a red light panel to make it stronger and enhance its efficacy. So sorry for the sound, but that's what's going on. I'm always taking proactive measures in my own life and in my own health to get better. And this kind of feeds into what I've been talking about, what I started this off with anger, because I've had a lot of people who, I understand it's ignorance and sometimes arrogance of just denial, not wanting to believe what's going on with another person. So it's just easier to deny it, or it's easier to just say some pithy bullshit response to them. But for me, my wife and I have been completely demolished by what's been going on with my health, losing all of our money, hanging on to my art career that I worked so hard to become a professional artist with, losing community, being gaslit by doctors, being gaslit by friends and family, being on the floor, being homebound, not being able to do anything, basically being disabled, not being able to paint, not being able to do the things you love, not being able to function at all, not even being able to take care of yourself and, make yourself food or get off the floor without major motion sickness, dizziness, out of body experiences, seizures, tremors, head pressure, panic attacks that last for 6 hours. And yes, even threatened by death, which happened to me twice in the last couple of weeks. I almost died from this. And you know what? It's fine. I have taken measures to try to get over this and to try to take matters into my own hands and be my own advocate. And that's what feeds into this podcast today is really, transmuting something even as dire and as drastic as almost losing your life to a threatening illness and disease, turning that and transmuting that into art, trying to rise above that and trying to transmute that into health. And I realized for myself, the reinvention comes from getting rid of some of the people who are psychologically keeping me down and bringing me down and not being there for me, even like friends and community that you would think would be there for you. They just disappear. I'm not talking about holding your hand the whole time and giving you sympathy. I'm talking about literally, covering your ears and being gone for the entirety of a disease that you're dealing with and pretending they don't even know that it's going on. That's what I'm talking about. So I have decided to reinvent myself once again. And we've talked about this a little bit, turning darkness into light with my work. Yes, becoming a transmuter of darkness and trauma and all those things and putting them into light, but also reinventing myself again into a place of empowerment, of self-advocacy, even advocating for other people with my work, being somebody who is a strong voice in the community of people who have also suffered on the levels that I'm suffering, and many of you out there might be suffering as well. I want to honor that too. So taking that power back, reinventing yourself from a place of being rooted in your own power. I decided I'm not going to suffer fools anymore. I'm not going to allow myself to have narcissists in my life. I'm not going to allow myself to be manipulated or to be gaslit or to be, for the people who have sat by and watched this happen to my wife and I and never even, said anything to us and denied that it's even going on while our entire world is falling apart. Well, you know what? You're an asshole and you have to deal with that, but I don't have to deal with you anymore. Therefore, I will not deal with you anymore, and I will go forward and I will come from a place of empowerment and I will put that into my art and I will rise above and I will continue on a trajectory that makes sense in my own life and in my own art and that makes me empowered. So how can you use this in your own life, something like this? What is holding you back maybe? Maybe you've swallowed your voice. Maybe you've swallowed your anger for too long. Maybe you're being taken advantage of by a gallery. Maybe, your art is great, but you have been, psychologically influenced by family and friends for so long that you don't think that your art deserves to be seen. These are all valid things that we can, learn to rise above and to take our power back by becoming our own advocate and by, yes, reinventing ourselves. So what does reinventing yourself look like? Well, I've been watching a lot of YouTube in the late afternoon when I'm doing my treatments. And, I watch some David Bowie stuff a lot of the times. And yes, David Bowie reinvented himself many times in his career. And he probably did it for different reasons than you and I. And that's fine. But the main thing I want to convey is that he did this almost better than anybody else in the art world that I can think of, over and over and over again. And it's very inspiring. And it inspired me to decide that I don't need to be concerned with the people who in the past have brought me down, or have been a narcissist, or who have taken advantage of me, or have psychologically used me, or even abused me to a place where I didn't believe in myself. I've done a lot of work on that over the years, rising above that. But I just decided in this new phase, you know what? You did this, you're gone. Like I said, I'm not going to suffer fools. You did this to me, you're gone. Not even going to think about it. I am going to curate a group of people and even bring in new people who have a better understanding. People from the chronic Lyme and neurological Lyme community, or disease or chronic illness community. Bring in people who have fought their own thing and risen above it, and who are not the people who are complaining all the time, but the people who are taking their own power back and using that as a source of good and using that as a source of empowerment. I will bring more of that into my life. I will find ways to relate and to be a strong voice in my community, in that community, in the art community. And that's a way of, for me, reinventing myself, cutting out the people who have just up until this point been a psychological drain, at least, and at very most been very damaging to my life, to my psyche, and to my wife and my future. So that's for me. What do you need to change? What are ways that you can reinvent yourself in your life, in your art? Maybe it is as simple as standing up to an online community. Maybe it's as simple as having a stronger voice, meeting with a gallery that you're represented by and saying, look, I think I deserve to have more visibility in this gallery, more shows I need to be in. I would like to have a solo show. Come to them with a strong pitch, come to them with a strong vision, and, be your own advocate there. Maybe it's as simple as, changing something in your style that has become stagnant, that you think, oh, you know what, I just got to keep doing this because this is how I started out. And that's what, this is how I started out. Okay, Bill. Sorry about that. I had to bring Bill Burr in a little bit. But yeah, maybe it's just simple as changing your style and, finding, maybe you haven't been true to yourself stylistically in your own art. And maybe that's something that you can explore. Maybe it is something about, we've talked about this. Oh, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. I don't know if I agree with that 100% because I think there are ways to hack that. But let's just assume that's true. If you are hanging around with 5 people who are complaining all the time and who are bringing you down, or who are, denying your worth as an artist, maybe it's time to find some new people that are going to raise your game a little bit, raise your mental state, raise your ability to make money and to believe in yourself and to further your art career. Maybe you've been hiding a part of your identity. Maybe you've been hiding a part because of conditioning, or because you're afraid, or you're afraid of how society is going to treat you. Maybe you've been hiding something about yourself that is not making you authentic. And maybe it's time to find a way to be authentic with that side of yourself and to expose it and to even use that to your advantage. Like, yes, this is who I am. I own it. And I'm going to start talking about this in my art. I'm going to start creating art that speaks this truth for me and for, my true identity. And doing that, being bold and reinventing yourself in that way, or just being the person that you have been hiding from the world, that is going to be so much more powerful than what you're doing to try to fit in, to be a cookie cutter, or to be something that you think society wants. I guarantee you, being yourself, being your authentic self, is going to be more powerful. You're going to find an audience for it, whether that's a niche audience or a broad audience. You're going to find people who look at that and go, wow, this artist is empowered. This is cathartic to me. I have also been hiding this. You get the idea. So there are plenty of ways that we can reinvent ourselves. Maybe you want to reinvent yourself in a David Bowie fashion. You want to literally change the way you look, your style, become, fashion oriented and be more public facing and get into social media more and show this side of yourself, explore a side of yourself that you've been wanting to explore, adopt a character, be this person. That can also be authentic. It can be something fun and unique and inspiring to society from a different angle of like, well, look at this person, how bold they are, and their taste in fashion and art, and that can be something that people gravitate to as well. So there are plenty of ways to reinvent yourself, or to advocate for yourself, or to empower yourself to be a better artist or be a creative person. I'm going to leave it at that for right now. Glad I was able to bring you a new episode. Sorry if this one doesn't resonate with you, but you know what? I'm also not sorry, because this is authentic for me, and this is something that has been going on with me and my wife, and something that has been, tragic for us, that we are going to rise above, because we are stronger than this, and we will use this to our advantage to become better human beings and better artists moving forward. So hopefully that is inspiring for you at very least. If it's not, check out some of the other podcasts. I'm sure you'll find something else in there that resonates with you more and that inspires you. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that. Take care of yourselves out there. Take care of everybody else. Be empowered. Be rooted in your own strength, and try to be authentic in everything you do. And if you haven't been that way, well, maybe it's time to reinvent yourself. All right. We will see you next time, everybody, on the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.
I can't believe he fell for it. What a sucker.
Hey, Mumford.
Gee, you scared me.
Not to worry. This is just me reinventing myself as the person who kills you.
Ah, my God.
How's that for being in touch with your anger?
Oh, man. That was dark. See you next time, suckers.
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com, or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.